the most primordial of all of the elemental chaos. To wield it, one gains power over one of the elements forged from the phlogiston of creation, Zalto, great Duch of fire giants. His name was known within the Ordning and realms of the giants as a master blacksmith and warmonger. This tale begins in the Forge of Destiny, in a war cosmic, one that defined civilizations. Long after the wars between dragon and giant faded to ruin and myth, a whisper lingered in the smoke. Vonindod, Titan of Death, still slumbered, disassembled and scattered throughout the frozen lands to the desert oasis. A weapon forged in a war of 1,000 years, wrought of adamantine, rune iron and hatred. Too massive for war, too terrible for peace. The thought of the Titan was lost to tales eons past. Zalto, head of fire, and of his own destiny, forged a new path. He found the first fragment in a canyon carved by lavafall, the skull helm of the Titan, large enough to cradle a storm giant's castle. It took 3 weeks and 7 siege crawlers to extract it. From that spark, the forge fire in Zalto's heart roared to life. He dispatched warbands of fire giants to every cursed battlefield from the 1,000-Year War, every buried vault and cratered peak where dragons once fell. Legions, bearing rune-etched mauls and anvils upon their backs, scoured the land. Villages melted in their wake. Caves became empty. The riches now in the halls of the fire giants' coffins. Mountains rang with hammer song once more. And when mortal spies or adventurers tried to intervene, they were buried beneath magma and wrath. One by one, the Titan's parts returned. A spine found beneath Mount Hammerhorst, mistaken for its sloped peaks. A rib unearthed from the ruins of a cloud giant skyhold. A clawed gauntlet stolen from a lich's tomb, deep beneath Undermountain. Each relic borne back to Ironslag, Zalto's ancestral forgehold, where molten channels once again pulsed with life. To awaken the Colossus, Zalto needed the Megara, Dawnflame, the heart that howls, the molten womb, a primordial of living flame, older than the gods, bound in chains of enchanted mithril, deep beneath the dwarven fortress of Gauntlgrim. She had slumbered there for centuries, her rage diverted to power dwarven furnaces. Her fire was legend, her freedom impossible, but not to Zalto. Only with war could this be remedied. A pact would be forged, and in the shadow of the world-fire, emissaries of House Larian, drow exiled from Menzoberranzan, now masters of shadowed spellcraft and betrayal, met with Zalto and his kin. In return for weapons wrought from star metal, they offered secrets, the runes that bound Megara, the hidden routes through Gauntlgrim's underways, the wards that kept the dwarves blind. Zalto summoned his legions. From the flaming chasms and volcanic moors of the north came hundreds of fire giants, beings of living elemental fire, armored in blackened steel, bearing siege cannons fueled by magma and greatswords red-hot with primordial scripture. Behind them marched enslaved salamanders, dragging war furnaces across the stone. Azers hammering shell armor onto flame, breathing constructs. From the Underdark, within the largest cities below, came the drow. Dark blades in darker tunnels, weaving webs in revere to Zalto and Lolth, symbols of silence and death. They struck at dawn, the inevitability of their footsteps sending vibrations throughout the gates of Gauntlgrim. Runes of kings sealed the gates, dwarven craftsmanship and runic magic stout against all foes. Zalto carried the Runebreaker Ram underarm, a pillar of pure dragon scale and blackened metal, infused with a storm giant's spine and tipped with Baler tooth. The gates buckled, hushed tones and wails behind the failing gates, and then breached. Magma flooded the antechambers, steel warped from the heat. Dwarves fell by the dozen, their defenders, golems, shield guardians, and even a young bronze dragon, melted beneath the fire giant's siege magic. Zalto himself led the charge, clad in infernal plate, wielding a hammer the size of a warhorse, every step cracking stone and melting banners to ash. The dwarves prayed to Moradin. The runecasters answered with flame. Even with all their magic and abjuration wards, it was not enough. Zalto descended into the anvil vaults, where Megara was held in a rune-woven cage. The primordial rose, her body a cyclone of flame, her scream a sound that blistered the soul. She lashed out, drow bursting into flame, but the fire giant stood unfettered. Zalto and his kin did not flinch, and he stood before her raising the iron flask, a relic of elder forging, sealed with fire glyphs forged from the 9 hells itself. With a single word, he bound her to his service. The battle above raged for hours more, but the war was already won, a slow degradation of the Gauntlgrim forces. Zalto emerged from the smoke, Megara's infernal prison in one hand, his warhammer in the other. The drow melted back into shadow, back to their cities within the Underdark. The fire giants marched back to Ironslag. Behind them, Gauntlgrim smouldered, a dwarven bastion cracked at the heart, its sacred flame stolen. And beneath the ice spires, the Vonindod began to stir. The Ordning sang, and Anam the All-Father's gaze moved. It was the return of the fire giant's true purpose. In the ancient days, when Anam the All-Father shaped the giants from earth, water, air, and fire, he gave them order, a strict hierarchy to adhere to. With his divine word, his command was etched into the soul of every giant born. It determined purpose. In the ancient memory of the giants, fire was first a gift, then a weapon, and then a right. The fire giants, children of Surtr the ever-burning, forged in his view as pure, cleansing, and strong. Among all giantkin, it is they who remember the blueprints of Ostoria. While others hunted and howled, fire giants built. In their forges they crafted the foundations of giant kind. They raised towers before men knew language. They smelted steel before dwarves struck their first pick. In their eyes, creation was their divine right, from the hands of Surtr and Anam, the All-Father. The ordning of craftwork, unique among giant kind, governs every fire giant hall, from the scorched calderas of Ironslag to the ember-lit vaults beneath smoking peaks. In this hierarchy, skill at the forge, the hammer, the furnace, defines a fire giant's worth. Their strongholds are marvels of structure and searing genius, vaulted halls of basalt and steel, braced to hold the mountain's fury above, channeled to harness the lifeblood of magma below. To live there is to exist within the art of another's excellence. In this order, every tool is sacred, and every forge is a throne. For to a fire giant, the world unto itself is an unshaped metal. It must be refined, tempered, rebuilt. And in every clang of hammer on steel, they hear not the vibrations, but the song of the Ordning, ringing eternal. Volothamp Geddarm presents Volo's Guide to Giants, a guide most excellent on the fire giants and one's own daring escape from their molten midst. By Volothamp Geddarm, esteemed scholar, reluctant hero and unrivaled tour guide to the realms. Forward, or Why I Smell Slightly of Sulphur. Gentles all. Welcome once again to another sizzling volume in my endlessly illuminating and, dare I say, essential series of realm-spanning guidebooks. This time, your faithful Volothamp Geddarm. Do you believe I observed from a distant ledge, with a spyglass and a packed lunch? Oh no. I braved the lava-choked corridors of Ironslag itself, toasted the hair off my eyebrows in the heart of the giant's maw, and barely escaped with my quill hand intact. And all for you, dear reader. Now you may have heard tales of fire giants, brutish, black-skinned Goliaths with the wit of smouldering coal and the manners of stampeding aurochs. Poppycock. Well, half poppycock. Allow me to ignite the truth and hammer out the rest. To behold a fire giant, my friends, is to feel your knees weaken and your collar dampen, though whether from awe or heatstroke is a coin flip. Towering at a modest 20 feet tall, by my own daring estimates, taken from a respectfully safe distance behind a basalt boulder. These beings are living furnaces shaped into warriors. Their skin resembles volcanic glass, laced with glowing cracks, as if the gods took a chisel to a magma vein. And oh, how they radiate. Standing near one is like standing beside an open forge, wearing a wool cloak and believing the fire will sit as though a candle would. I have seen, with my own eyes, a fire giant lift a siege tower, with one hand, swing it like a club, and then use the other hand to adjust a finicky runestone without so much as breaking a stride. Their bones, I've learned, are infused with rune-bonded mineral, an arcane nonsense that I assure you glows ominously when they're angry or aroused. I dare not guess which it was when I stumbled into their communal steam hall. Fire giants thrive where others sizzle into ash. Their lungs inhale sulfur as if it were spring air. Their blood, I've been told by a most unpleasant forge priest who nearly made me part of an altar ceremony, is thick with iron and glows in the dark like an ember-fed lantern. When they walk, the ground trembles and it acquiesces. And the steam halo. Ah yes, the shimmering wreath of mist that curls from their shoulders. It is said to be the soul trying to flee in fear. They sweat not, for their sweat vanishes, leaving behind only the ghost of heat. And when their hearts quicken, be it in fury or forge lust, they say a second heart flares within them, a divine cinder, a core of fire that fuels their might. I, of course, attempted to sketch this anatomical marvel for posterity, but my guide took offense and snapped my quill in half. Contrary to rumors spread by less reputable scholars, not naming names, but rhymes with Schminster, fire giants are not mindless brutes. Their intellect is forged, hard, disciplined, orderly. Time to them is measured in marches, and the collar of metals within their ancient forges. A decade-long project is considered starting early, and their grudges outlast most civilizations. I sat, once, across from a fire giant tactician named Grolman, who explained siege calculus using a model of a dwarven citadel and actual lava. I regret to inform you that I lost my favorite hat in the demonstration, but gained a deeper understanding of how they view war. As art. Violent, thunderous, and smouldering art. Their engineers are their generals, their soldiers, their smiths. To craft is to fight. To fight is to worship the flame, the beckoning of Surtr. From the moment they are born, hatched, smelted, I remain unclear. Fire giants are steeped in tradition. Infants toss metallic boulders for play, their lullabies. War chants, which I accidentally joined in on during one ill-fated attempt to blend in. The bruises remain. Each child learns that status is earned, not inherited. No giant will wield another's weapon without shame. I once watched a fire giant publicly break a sword he had not forged himself, an act akin to burning one's family tree while it still has sap in it. When disputes arise, duels commence. For flaws. A fire giant duel is a masterclass in technique, designed to expose the smallest weakness in form, craft, or strategy. And when the fighting's done, out come the anvils. Yes, they bring the forge with them, portable, rune-bearing, fire-fed carts that clank behind armies like loyal war dogs. Chapter 2. Hearths of Wrath, the lairs of the fire giants. Ah, greetings again, sagacious seeker of sublime secrets. 'Tis I, Volothamp Gedam, author, adventurer, and unofficial inspector of the realm's most unreasonably heated vacation spots. You may ask, Volo, what mad impulse drove you into the molten halls of fire giant kind? To which I reply, scholarship, dear reader. And also a very large wager involving a frost giant, a duck, and a bottle of Evermead I'd rather not mention again. Thus begins my recounting of the terrifyingly toasty sanctuaries known as the lairs of the fire giants, cathedrals of combustion, mansions of magma, and resorts of ruin. Let us dive in, figuratively mind you, for to literally dive into a fire giant stronghold is to become a cautionary puddle, where you or I might say, "This is a lovely hill for a home," a fire giant says, "Let us rend the mountain, hollow its core, and stoke the earth's heart till the sky chokes on smoke." These are no mere lodgings. No, they are engines of legacy, each fortress a furious monument to power and permanence, carved into calderas clinging to volcanoes or buried in ranges rich with coal and iron. Their strongholds redefine the landscape. When the volcano sleeps, the giants wake it. Where there is limited heat, they dig, burn, and harvest until the stone itself begs for mercy. Walls forged from slag plate and black steel, hearths that hum like dragon hearts, fires that burn so hot I once saw a griffin combust mid-flight simply for flying near the chimney flue. He got better, mostly. Within these hell-hot palaces, society smoulders along strict lines. Every structure serves a purpose. Every corridor hums with heat and hierarchy. The outer ashlands host fields scorched black, where hardy crops and blister-resistant cattle graze under a sky dimmed by smoke. I've personally seen sheep bred to sneeze sparks. Remarkable creatures. Terrible wool. Beneath the stone lie the real bones of the citadel. Mines and veins and tunnels, vast as cities. Dwarves, poor souls, are prized slaves here, mind you, though that exists in spades, but because their stonecraft makes them tragically efficient labourers. They are worked till their beards grey with soot and their songs turn to clinks of pickaxes. It breaks the heart, mine specifically, when I try to organise a brief rebellion. I shan't elaborate. Ah, iron slag. Even the name crackles with menace and molten promise. Say it aloud with me. No? Suit yourself. Deep within the ice spires, where snow meets smoke and trembles, lies this great forge city, the mythic furnace of fire giant kind. Its gates are adamantine, 50 feet tall and sealed with runes so old they predate fashion. And I would know. These gates are tests, wards, and statements of violent intent. Once inside, through guile, bravery, and one regrettably effective disguise involving barbecue sauce, I beheld halls where rivers of lava run through sluices of brass. Chains the size of castle towers clink above like iron serpents. Walls glow, ceilings simmer. Statues of ancient firelords glare down, their brows perpetually aflame and disappointed in your posture. And the Vonindod, ye gods, the Vonindod, a weapon, a colossus, a construct meant to erase dragonkind from the world. I saw its limbs, vast, adamantine arms resting in gem-like cradles, waiting, watching, whispering perhaps, or maybe that was the heat stroke. The forges of iron slag never sleep. They belch smoke, spit flame, and churn out armaments day and night, shields, siege, engines, armor the size of taverns. One forge, 7 doors deep, rune-locked and seal-etched, is said to craft things the gods themselves refuse to invent. And now we come to the twist. Yes, dear reader, for even giants of fire face the creeping chill of time. Iron Slag's heart cools, the forges falter, and so its ruler, Duch Zalto, an inferno in armor, seeks a solution most dire, to steal Megara, the living flame from Gauntlgrim. Megara, a primordial of fire, an elemental goddess chained by dwarves. Zalto would break her, bottle her, and shackle her rage to power Iron Slag anew. A plan I, of course, tried to stop, or at least document. Bravery and discretion are often confused. So, my darling reader, should you ever consider visiting the lairs of the fire giants, don't. Or if you must, bring a heat-resistant robe, a dwarven dictionary, and someone slower than you. And should you glimpse a burning crown etched into a basalt wall and hear the ringing of anvils echoing through the molten dark, step carefully. You walk among architects of war, sculptors of legacy, and sovereigns of fire. There are tales whispered in the yawning portal of a fire giant's strength. These rumors speak of siege towers that walk, of red-hot blades swung like pendulums, of hammers that level walls as easily as they break bones. But this strength is not wild, not crude. It is forged, refined through discipline, through generations of martial craft, through the logic of the forge, an ancient art of discipline and practiced grace with the raw element of fire. They are tacticians sculpted in flame, commanders who build their victories layer by layer, strike by strike. Their war formations echo the rhythm of smiths' hammers on steel. When they march, they do so with columns, shields overlapping, weapons raised in ritual patterns. Their blades burn red at the edge, forged with alloys that retain forge heat for days. In their hands, they become scythes of molten death, cleaving steel like wood, sending shields flying with a single sweep. In the open field, fire giants break shield walls with sweeping arcs of flame-wreathed steel, their strikes calculated, shields and weapons overlaid in unison. They measure the gap, study the stance, and strike with the cold efficiency of a smith splitting ore. And when distance denies them the sword, they turn to warhammers the size of boulders, hurled like meteors, trailing sparks and heat. Impacts flinging cavalry from their saddles, shattering palisades, and leaving smouldering craters where formations once stood. Fire giants are taught by their ancient customs the tactics of interlocking, aligned, and deliberate. One drives the enemy back with crushing force, while another waits, blade poised for the opening. Hammer throws are timed to disrupt, forcing spellcasters to flinch, bowstrings to miss, formations to scatter. Where one giant stumbles, the others rotate. Where one weapon breaks, another is passed in mid-step. Their discipline is such they signal with sparks, with steps, with hammerfalls struck 3 times against stone. The forge burns, and so rises Duch Zalto, as Megara's blazing heart beats beneath his command, a flame older than the gods themselves, bound and broken to his purpose. Von Indod's colossal bones begin to stir from their endless sleep, and a new chapter dawns. An age when giants stride once more as titans of creation, their will forged in the crucible of ambition and war. The world stands trembling on the cusp, caught between a legacy consumed by flame and the promise of a realm shaped anew. A rising in the Ordning and a stirring within the giant kind move to action. The songs of old dragons and fallen titans whisper through molten caverns and cracked stone, heralding a reckoning that will burn the very foundations of kingdoms. The forge is lit, the anvil waits, and the fire giant's dominion has only just begun. Through ash and ember, through wrath and ruin, this flame-bound ambition shall blaze a path eternal, a conflagration that will scorch history itself. And in this is their true purpose: to shape the confines of the world as anvil and hammer bring about creation with their raw, ever-burning strength.